Hello and welcome to Power to the People with me, Graeme Pryce. While I'm certainly not complaining, it is a fact that I have to sit here and draw a very fine line between taking the piss and making a point. Attempt to be entertaining while being informative. It's not always easy, and it's a cross that I bear. But a comment I read on my last video earlier today made me think about the way we engage with those with whom we disagree. I do think we need to remember that not all people with right-wing views are ignorant or politically naive. No, some of them know exactly where increasingly extremist right-wing views lead, and they're alright with it. But they're people we're never going to reach anyway, so fuck them. Of course, there are people who are very, very gullible and don't really mind being lied to for various reasons, from abject stupidity to a cringeworthy need to pretend that Nigel Farage is the next Trump, to just not having the guts to admit they've been fooled by a grifter. But there are decent people that have just been conned by Reform UK, and I do agree I shouldn't be attacking those people. That being said, got to have a laugh though, haven't you? And the right are difficult to laugh at sometimes because they're all such horrible people who are continually furious about what their favourite right-wing populist propagandist has told them to be angry about that day, aren't they? With that in mind, let's have a look at two stories which demonstrate just how stupid the right and their dedicated dullard followers are right after this. 'Tis Power to the People with Graeme Pryce, where sometimes he is naughty or nice. If you like the vibe, hit like and subscribe. But don't hit the like button twice. Thank you. Rupert Lowe is a rich right-winger who was elected as a Reform UK MP, but after a whole thing where he was accused of bullying and not being racist enough or something, he was sacked from the party and he now sits as an independent. It seems he was quite committed to being a racist prick and scaring people about the imminent invasion of Islamics and their Shakira laws. After all, though, as he's carried on trying to frighten the UK public by lying to them about immigration. So, of course, when he spotted a boat in the Channel, his sensibilities were immediately enraged. He thought he was witnessing an Islamic invasion of Great Yarmouth via amphibious assault, and by Jove was he incensed. He got right on to the Coast Guard and informed them that he'd discovered evil boat people trying to invade the UK immediately. What a fucking hero, eh? Small problem though. Regardless of the Tories' absolute incompetence on the issue and Reform's continual media-supported tirade of far-right lies, not every boat in the Channel is actually full of illegal immigrants. The Coast Guard checked and it turned out they were the 4-person crew of an ocean-going rowboat who were attempting to row from Land's End to John O'Groats to raise funding for motor neurone disease charities. One of them was a Royal Marine. Of course, Rupert the Scarebear hadn't actually done any of this as an act of public duty, really though, had he? No, you see, he's still got quite a following. A lot of far-right twats have these days, and he likes to make use of Twitter, where his racist lies are regularly boosted in the algorithm. Because of all the biggest social media sites in the world, Twitter now seems to be owned by an actual fascist, doesn't it? He went onto Twitter and he posted, "Dinghies coming into Great Yarmouth right now. Authorities alerted and I am urgently chasing. I will be using every tool at my disposal to ensure these individuals are deported." That was just before they discovered that it was 4 people doing a charity rowing event. So he's clearly made a bit of a tit of himself on a grand scale there, hasn't he? One massive, massive boob, I'd say, yeah. Of course, there were still fucking idiots in his comment section trying to defend him and leaving things like, well, at least he's paying attention to the coast. Or, well, at least he's doing more than Keith Starmer. And bafflingly, there still seem to be a few hardcore, brainless wonders saying, he'll be the next Prime Minister. To be fair, Rupert has since apologised, admitted his mistake and donated £1,000 to the charity that the rowers were fundraising for. I suppose that's the least he could do. And there's people who want that guy to be Prime Minister. Jesus. Now, this one has taken a few days to filter through because we live in a country where 90% of the media will just ignore any stories that make any of the right-wingiest of wankers look bad, unless they're absolutely forced to report on them, won't they? On the 6th of August, a coach travelling through Newbridge in Wales committed the horrendous crime of having some foreign-looking people on board, ranging in age from young children up to about 18. I'd imagine the driver was probably a bit older. Don't know what colour he was. Of course, this couldn't be allowed to stand, not in Nigel's England. So, while remonstrating with the children on board to go the fuck back where you came from and other such sentiments, somebody took out their phone and made a little video. Within a few minutes, that video had been posted to a few of the local reform, racist, same thing, Facebook pages, and within a few more minutes later, it started to appear on some of the more openly racist and far-right pages, being described as buses full of asylum seekers being allowed to set up camp in Newbridge, Wales. Thankfully, the police have been able to use some of the powers that they do have to remove these videos at source, but there will still be a few copies around being passed between gammon-faced rage wankers in Wetherspoons who will still believe the bullshit because they want to believe it. You see, it was actually a coachload of Boy Scouts from Scotland on the way to CRAI Scout Activity Park in Newbridge. There were apparently some number of non-white minorities amongst them, and it seems we're now at the point where racist idiots are roaming the streets, just thinking it's okay to attack any brown-skinned person, even children. And the media is still calling them protesters and suggesting they have legitimate concerns. Maybe in some ways they do. I actually do get it to a point. Maybe there's a conversation to be had, but it's not going to be resolved by shouting racist filth at kids in the street, is it? Fucking hell. Or posting it on Facebook to stir up your racist mates. That one is definitely not as funny as the Rupert Lowe story, but it still illustrates the sheer stupidity that seems to be flooding this nation at the moment, courtesy of Nigel Farage and co, doesn't it? If it was just the idiots shouting at the bus, that would be reprehensible enough, but the social media aspect is worse and a little bit scary, in my opinion. So again, it comes back to social media, something that Labour seem to be doing very little about. I shudder to think where this country is headed if they don't get cracking on it soon. Thank you for watching if you've gotten this far. I'm going to have to make an effort to have a proper look at these protests and give you my breakdown of it all in the next few days or next week or so, I think. I hope it turned out to be a few highlights like there was last year, though. The bloke getting hit in the dong and then the bounce by bricks was quite funny. And that dickhead who robbed a tray of sausage rolls from Greg's and became a meme overnight for being so fucking stupid. That one was quite funny, wasn't it? I wonder if he's still in the nick. Let's hope so, eh? Anyway, far right on the rise. Dictator in the White House. World War II style xenophobia roaming the streets. Cost of living spiralling. Still, gotta laugh, haven't you? And who better to laugh at than Rupert Lowe thought he was going to save the nation from Islamic invaders, or brain-dead buffoons that felt so triggered by brown Boy Scouts that they had to make up stories about them on social media. They do it to themselves. They really do, don't they? It just remains to say that the battle against bullshit is never ending. And if you'd like to contribute, you can find the links to PayPal, Patreon, and the Buy Me a Coffee page, rambunctiously ripping Rupert a new ring piece in the descriptions box. And the join button for memberships is, as always, below. Believe me, that isn't all that I could say. But it is as much of what I've got to say as I'm going to say today. Ta-ra-la. Good Lord, Annie. How am I going to come up with a thumbnail for this without doing a search for pictures of Boy Scouts on Google? Internet provider will start thinking I'm a Tory or something.